When I'm out raiding in it, or when sorry.
But I agree
I don't
that
believe.
the holiday thing is
Hold
we're
on,
going slow.
no. I violated one of our basic rules here.
Yes,
Let me start that again. So.
Hey everybody, welcome to Lions Pride Tavern podcast number 68. Tonight, we find out how he did in this weekend's continuing raid of Antorus, the Burning Throne. Plus, happy holidays to all. Merry Christmas!
Yay!
Christmas.
Ho.
But before all that, let's start off with introductions. I'm your host, Stafford. I play a Dwarven Beastmaster Hunter in the awesome game World of Warcraft. Next up is Jobui.
Hi, I'm Jobui. I play a mage, but not arcane.
He's doesn't know which to play yet. He's still dabbling.
I go back and forth. Some fights I use frost, some fights I use fire, but I'm keeping them both maintained, so it's all good. I just don't play arcane. That's the only one I don't play.
And Lorelei.
Hi, it's Lorelei, your Night Elf Fury Warrior.
It really is Lorelei. Her voice doesn't sound the
Still
same.
gone. Hope to
I
do
know.
a Carol Brady and get it back on Christmas morning.
Oh,
There you go.
Well, I thought you were going to say you're going to go caroling and hope it works.
That's what I thought, but I was just,
Oh, well, no, unless you're old enough, you wouldn't get that reference.
Wait. Never mind. And there's a pistol.
Don't mind me, I'm just cooking a partridge up here for Christmas for my family. No, this is the epistle I play. A variety of protection paladins.
And Charity is back.
Yay me!
Welcome back.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Shepherd. I play a Draenei Shaman.
Restoration on top of that.
Well, sometimes.
sometimes. Well, she
Well,
did
not
it
to
on
me,
Friday. She did on Saturday.
Yeah, she went and seen Star Wars last podcast, so. But no spoilers because I'm the only one out of the whole group here that has not seen it.
Oh my God, you still haven't gone to see it?
Wow.
I was going to go. We had it all planned out. And then, of course, in Montana, guess what? The weather changed and we had a blizzard.
Oh my God.
And it dumped 8 to 10 inches of snow on us in just a few hours.
Oh.
Yeah, and now it's sub-zero or sub-freezing weather. It's 8 right now.
Yeah, it's pretty cold. It's pretty cold here too. I think last I looked, it was 6 degrees where I'm at.
Here in Canada, it's I don't want to talk about it and change the topic weather.
Right?
This morning I woke up and it had snowed. And I was like, oh, we weren't expecting that.
Yeah, I wasn't
It's
sure
a
if we were
Christmas
going to get the
miracle.
white Christmas, but I think it's going to stick, and we should get the white Christmas thing where I live.
And then I won't say it was about 70 degrees here.
So you're putting us up for a couple weeks?
Yeah, I guess, because I don't know. We're supposed to get some ice on Christmas.
Wait a sec. Now, how can you be the one having the cold then?
I don't know. We're going into week 4. I'm so done with this.
Karma. It's karma.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It kind of reminds me, I was watching, I really, really enjoy the show, The Grand Tour, and they've been making fun of one of the hosts on there because he went to some, tropical island and got pneumonia.
Of course.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, guys. I totally lied on that. I thought it was 8 degrees. It's minus 8 degrees. So, yeah. So I was a little wrong there.
I was wondering.
Punctuation is important.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't see the little minus sign until I turned the light on. I was like, oh, look, that's not right.
I was trying to figure out why we were warmer up north.
Right.
Actually, today was a great day. I told my kids, school for us ended yesterday, and I was like, run out, enjoy the great outdoors, because tomorrow it is going deep freeze, and it's going to be that way for a week. I don't think we're going to step out of our house for 7 days.
Well, it's definitely nice having a white Christmas. I really enjoy that because I watched the Chevy Chase one where, he's like thinking of the girl in the bikini diving in the diving board, and I was like, but it's not winter.
You know, I was actually trying to explain to my kids the other day about how people in Australia, when they think of like Christmas weather, they think of like middle of summer, you know, and they were like, "What? How is that?" I'm like, "You're from the northern hemisphere, kids."
Yeah, in Overwatch, the new character skins for Christmas, Junkrat's from Australia, so his is like bathing suit and a rubber ducky for his tire. It's so
Oh
funny.
yeah.
We have friends from the Philippines. They've been here for 4 or 5 years. When they first got here, what was Christmas about? Oh, we're going to go to the mountains and we're going to get snow. We said, where are you going this year? They said, Florida.
It only took them 5 years?
Yeah, they got past it pretty quickly.
See, I grew up in the north, and I tend to like the cold, but I like all four seasons in general. If it was always warm, I think I would get really frustrated with that over time.
Yeah, well, my philosophy is you can put more clothes on when it's cold,
Yeah.
but you can only take off so many before you get arrested.
Very true.
That's true. In general, that's you got. I mean, even when you're going to bed, you can grab more blankets. If it's chilly, but if it's really hot, I mean, yeah, maybe you can turn on a fan or something or air conditioning. But there's a limit to what you can do when it's hot. But you can take care of the cold.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine, he moved from Alaska to Arizona. And I said, how can you handle that? And he goes, oh, it's really easy. I go from my air conditioned house to my air conditioned car to my air conditioned job, back to my air conditioned car, back to my air conditioned house.
Oh no. All right.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to handle the heat. No way.
So,
So yeah, let's talk about how we did. So this is my first time back. I didn't get to raid last weekend. Mommy Fortuna and I had some stuff to do, and so there were some bosses that we didn't get to see. So, Jobui, tell us how we did.
we did almost exactly as we did last week. We went 9 of 11 over the 2 nights. The first night we finished off on Kingaroth, which I think we did like 1 or 2 pulls on Kingaroth, or 1 pull on Kingaroth before we ran out of time, and came back tonight. We spent some time on Kingaroth. That possibly some players are still needing some practice on that one. I think we're getting a little smoother with it. I think when we actually got the kill tonight, it went a little smoother than our last kill, but we still need to get that fight smoother. Then we went on to Varamathras, and we had, although we one-shotted it last week, this week the tanks were having some issues. Yeah, it was just acting different somehow. And it took us about 3 pulls on that, I think, before we got that one down. Went on to Coven, and we one-shotted Coven on a miss pull. It was a slightly early pull. I think it got pulled on the count of like 8 instead of 0. But so yeah, we got through the Coven tonight. It was still a great week. We didn't make any new progress, but the group that was a little bit in flux because of the holiday. There's some people that weren't around due to holiday events and stuff that they were doing in real life, but we still made it really far and did very well.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that tank issue there, Epistle. What was the
Sure thing.
What was the problem?
Well, that's a punishing fight for tanks. I'll say a little more about that later as part of my segment. But what was happening is there's a little bit of damage that gets dished out while it's healable, followed by more damage, which is therefore not healable. So there's this tiny window of opportunity to heal a tank when they have their first drop. and we weren't getting healed up in that particular time. So it's both healers and tank self-heals that have to kind of fill in that gap, and it's maybe about a second. And then following that, there's a kind of a debuff that also drops you down further and further. So we think, though, that there may have been another thing at play, because we didn't have too much trouble and we were able to compensate for most of that mechanic last week. This week, what was happening is we were fine. We're taking a little bit of damage, maybe not getting that perfectly healed, but somehow we were getting just hammered after the fact. And the tool tips and the advice before had been that on regular, the tanks did not have to stack on each other, or rather they could stack on each other because they didn't have to be separated by a certain amount. But after a few pulls, I was starting to get suspicious that we were maybe taking some additional damage, and so we, on the next pull, just for the heck of it, spaced out and went at sort of 3/4 of the way, or 1/4 away from the boss in terms of a slight rotation as tanks, so we weren't potentially getting sideswiped, and we had virtually no problems up until the very end. There was one part that seemed to dish out a lot of damage, whether that was healing timing, self-heals mitigation, I don't know what. But there was only one problem the whole fight, as opposed to, it happening every 30 seconds or so. So, yeah, I'm not totally clear on what it was. I'd have to look at the logs and really figure it out, but it did seem like something was funky, and we had to do it differently than last week.
Yeah, as healers, we're pretty sure that was what was going on, that you guys weren't separated enough. Because as soon as you guys did that, we had no issues. Because we had two healers on the tanks, and we weren't even focusing on the raid, and it was still hard to keep you up. But as soon as you guys spread out, the only part that was hard was the one part, like you said, at the end, and I think it's because we were out of mana, because we were just healing you guys.
And I'll be, frank on this. You guys should be separated anyway. I know we're only doing normal, but you should be practicing for heroic. I mean, that's where we should be on most of these fights. Is we should be thinking about the future if you get, really used to doing it the way it's done in normal, and then you got to change it up extra for heroic. On that particular fight, it's all about what the tanks do. So the tanks really should be stressing their heroic strategy anyway. And it doesn't hurt to do the heroic strategy on normal. It's just a slightly different take. So I think you guys should stick to the spread apart strategies just so you're prepared when we get there in heroic.
Yeah, and it's really no big difference one way or the other.
So what I'm hearing as a hunter is that it wasn't my fault.
Well, now you're pushing it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you didn't die.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's
We
your
didn't
fault.
have a Stafford sacrifice. That was probably the biggest issue.
Yeah, the blood of Stafford saves us all.
Well, it did work in Kingaroth. I can tell you that much because I did die on that one.
Yeah,
And we won.
We got it.
Yeah, with that last pull we did, most of the raid stayed up.
I didn't die on the last pull. So.
You didn't die on that last pull, no. But that last pull, I think we lost 1 or 2 people, I think, on that last pull. And it made it go a lot smoother. And I think that's really what that Kingaroth is going to come down to, is people just not taking that unnecessary damage, and really being mindful of what's going to kill them and avoiding it, so that they're alive so they can help DPS those big ads down. If we can manage that every week, I think that boss will go a lot smoother. Because right now, on our week-to-week, Kingaroth is eating up, I'd say, maybe a quarter of our time for the raid each week right now.
Sounds fair.
Yeah. So if we get Kingaroth down pat, and we don't run into weird issues in Varamathras, and we're going to get full clear. That's what I'm telling you right now.
Well, I do know that I was going from one little mini boss to the other little mini boss. So I was running, had to go across the platform. And as I'm running by, I see Epistle standing there, and I'm waving at Epistle going, "Hey, Epistle." And about that time, the hammer comes down. And then Epistle's looking at me on the ground going, "Hey, Stafford, how's it going down there?"
Yeah, about that not standing by the tanks thing.
Yeah. Well, another time, I was traveling across from one big ad to the second one, in the pattern there. And And as I'm heading, I'm the first DPS to get to the other side. I had saved up my blinks so I could shimmer across to the other side. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here first. I'm damaging that dude. And here comes a pistol, and he does his riding his elephant thing, and runs into one of those balls right on top of me. And well, thanks for the extra damage.
But you lived.
See,
I did live.
I'm thinking we need to
there
start
was,
blaming a pistol.
There was another person, though, who I saw running up to me, and I was just about to call out, hey, you don't want to, and then there was this mark on the ground.
Squish.
And that was the end of that tune.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even see the hammer. I didn't even see it.
Well, I mean, accidents happen. I mean, the last fight, I used my whirlwind to get away from the things coming at us, and I ended up landing on a pistol because it kind of just woo across the screen. I don't know where I'm gonna land, and he's like, "You don't want to stand in front of the thing." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." My face felt it.
Thanks for telling me what I know. Yeah.
But I mean, it's true. I would have said the same thing. Hey, if I was thinking, get out of the way of the tanks. But yeah, I landed on your face, and I got the punishment. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that's a pretty hard helmet I'm wearing. It hurts to land on it.
But
I was just trying to be nice and wave as I went by, and yeah.
But I did learn a new thing on the Kingaroth fight, which I didn't know before. We picked this up. Charity had invited a couple of her friends from another raid or another group to come raid with us, and one of them mentioned that when you kill one of those big ads, it knocks 5% of the boss's health off, which I was not aware of. I hadn't read that anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that was some new information I learned tonight on that particular fight. But that being said, I still think the key really is people
Not dying.
Yeah, not dying. Just don't run into the beam.
Don't stand in the fires of various forms.
Don't hug the tanks.
I did notice.
We like you, but stay away.
Just to throw this out there, I did notice on one of the mechanics, when it throws the green swirlies on the ground with the tower, and you got to stand in, and the tower goes away. That happened at the exact same time the beam came out.
It will.
And we had to get off of it in order to avoid the beam, and we never made it back onto it. So you got to watch for that.
I did try to. One of those was right near where the beam was going by, and I saw it it spawned right next to the beam, and the beam moved past it, and I tried blinking to the other side of the beam to get into that, but I was a half second too late to get to that. The beam hadn't quite passed it when I felt safe to blink to it, and it blew up right before I got to stand in it. But yeah, you can last minute stand in those, especially mages and stuff. You can stand one of them. There was another one later in the fight that the beam was moving towards, and I stood in it and waited for the beam to come towards me, and then I absorbed that mechanic and then blinked away from the beam so that the beam wouldn't damage me. So those can be handled, and they do happen at the same time, but yeah, it's problematic.
Well, and the beams, I did find out tonight that the beam's not an instant death.
Nope.
Because I did catch the edge of it where it was yelling at me to get out of the fire, but I managed to get out. I used my speed boost to get out just fast enough. I only had a sliver of health, but I hit, it was 4 times I got hit, maybe 3.
Well, let's correct that. It's not instant death on normal.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was your normal gimme, but in heroic you're dead already.
Yeah. So in normal, you can survive it to a point. For those of you who have never been there before. But yeah, that one seems to give us a little bit of issue. The rest of them we pretty much one-shotted, didn't we?
Yeah, all except for Varamathras and Kingaroth. Everything else we one-shotted. Yeah. And last week we one-shotted everything except for Kingaroth and Coven, but that was our very first attempts on Coven, and I think it was I think we only did 2 pulls on Coven, maybe 3, before we figured out how we were going to do things a little differently, and that formula is working fantastic on that fight. That fight is it doesn't even. I heard a lot of people talk about how Coven is a really hard fight. It doesn't seem that hard with the strategy we've got going.
Yeah, for our group, that's not going to be a tough one.
I mean,
Well,
we
I
even
don't
had
know,
a miss pull.
Died right off the bat.
Yep,
Okay,
you were...
you're right. I need to be clear. Most of us are not going to have a problem with that fight.
But I did get to watch the whole fight.
did?
And I'm saying that I got, and if you go back and you watch our live stream, especially my
no.
live stream, I don't know about
No,
Shepard's.
don't watch. No, don't watch his.
I-
He's dead.
Well, I am dead, but I turned off everything on my screen, so it's a beautiful picture.
Oh, it's beautiful. Okay.
I
of
zoomed
death.
in. I zoomed in really close on Shavara, and she's very uniquely dressed. I should say that much.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I kind of got blinded by the headlights.
Oh boy.
It was just
we
like,
went there?
wow, I can imagine the Blizzard artist on that one.
Okay, so moral of the story is Stafford dies a lot. Watch my stream instead.
Yeah.
I have a very
That's
good
about it.
picture when I'm dead, except if I fall off.
Or zoom in on Pex.
Yes.
All right, moving on.
I look at the environment and sort of go, oh, what a nice design of the room.
I might even go back and make that a thumbnail on my video. I don't know. I'll have to think about that.
It's going to be the new cover of the website.
The Coven. All right, moving
Cheese
on.
and crackers.
So, like I said, I hadn't done Veramathras. Well, no, I think I did a poll on Veramathras, but I definitely hadn't seen the Coven, and that's as far as we've gotten. We haven't gone to Agrimar or Argus yet, but yeah. What's our predictions for next week, Chobui?
I don't.
I'm not in the mood for predictions as much.
Nah, not really.
Well, the thing is, I was with you on that one last week. I thought for sure would be going much further tonight. I watched all the videos, got all ready to go.
I kind of figured with
Okay. I'll go with
good.
two predictions, right? I got two predictions. Prediction number one is if folks have focused in on Kingaroth and we get Kingaroth down in 1 to 2 pulls, then I think we will see at least one of the final two bosses that we haven't seen yet, if not both. In fact, we might even get down Agrimar, and then we'll get a look at Argus. But if people keep messing up on Kingaroth, then we're going to stop at 9 of 11 next week, too.
Okay. All right. Lorelei, how about you?
Well, if it will stop shooting that beam at me while I'm running around with the red circles, I'll be doing a lot better.
I know, right? I'm sitting there running with a beam, and Lorelei's running right next to me with the red circle. I'm like, get away from me!
I know, but we had nowhere to go because we were being chased by the beam.
Well, here's the thing, though. If that happens again, it's better that you do damage to other players than you get killed by the beam, because that's not a kill mechanic. That damage, it's just extra damage the healers are going to have to heal through. So if you have the circle on you and the beam's going to hit you, go ahead and hit some other players with that circle. It's better than you dying, for sure.
But it doesn't have to be Fafford all the time.
Or
Oh, no, I'll go find somebody else with it.
Okay. All right. All right. So, Epistle, what do you think?
I think it depends on how much holiday nog we've all been drinking.
Yeah, because that's the weekend, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and I've also noticed, I don't know if this is true or not, but it does seem Friday we're kind of down to brass tacks, down to business. We get going, we move, we work really quickly, and it felt like the last couple of weeks, maybe even longer, the Saturdays for some reason just seem to move more slowly. I don't know if that's just my impression, but it's like we're waiting for something or someone, and none, that doesn't feel like there's any, people being lazy or anything negative like that. It's just that we just seem to have trouble moving quickly and getting going.
Do you
Well-
think it's because we've been starting our Saturday nights wiping on Kingaroth?
Well, I think I know what he's
may be
saying.
that may be a reason people might be less. I don't want to go in there. I don't want to die in King. No, well, I think it's
No.
more than just. It's like 15 minutes before we get going. Sometimes we're short a healer, have to do some switching up, or you just deal with some logistics to get going. But it's like we're not all there, all ready to go in the same way that it feels like we are on Friday.
See, and I'm going to disagree there because I think it's just the holidays, being there. Saturdays have always been, are we going to have enough people? Because a lot of people who raid with us Friday don't on Saturday. But we usually have enough. But with the holidays, I mean, we walked in, and I'm being all honest here, Mommy Fortuna, she goes, we don't have any healers for tonight. And I'm like, what? And she's like, well, maybe one or two. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
maybe one ain't going to do it. I
Yeah,
said,
she
if we don't
started-
have it, yeah.
She started whispering me too. She's like, should we have so-and-so switch? I'm like, just wait. Let's see how it plays out. Just take a breath. We'll wait for a few minutes.
Yeah, so I really think it was just the holiday that has caused that feeling. We were starting later, and I'm glad, Shepard brought in the friends that she did, even though one of them dropped from bad internet, like right off the bat.
He
But
was so upset. He's like, I finally get in a raid with you guys, and
yeah,
then
it
I get
happens.
disconnected. I'm like, yeah,
No,
that's
no, you
how I
didn't-
was last week. So
Well, on his first one there, he said something about he had a phone call and was trying to do something with one hand, and he got killed with the beam on the very first beam.
he did. I
Yeah!
didn't see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
I'm
he
gonna have
went-
to give him crap
I-
later.
I was like, oh, she brings in this badass warlock. Cool. All right, new warlock
Dead.
coming with and he dies on the first beam, and I'm like, I kind of want to kick the warlock.
Yeah, he's a badass warlock who's bad and ends up on his. Yeah, okay.
No,
I mean, he's a nice
I
guy.
bring
We
good
kept the row. We
players.
didn't kick him, but
Oh yeah.
there was that moment of going, oh, well, he's just kind of watching the fight.
So what Stafford's really saying here is that he agrees with me, just that it's only been the last couple of weeks because of holidays, and it's probably not going to be a consistent thing.
Yes, that's exactly what
Yeah,
I'm
I
saying.
agree.
Seriously, because I know there's some players that really wanted to be with us, but with the holidays, they're traveling, they're at other places.
Well, family really decides what goes on these weekends. And like Tap didn't come tonight because she
Yep.
got stuck with family, things like that.
Well, and like I said on the healers, we weren't sure if we were going to have enough healers, and so it was good though. We got it going. A little slow, but that's all right. I mean, it was either that or not do it at all. So I'm rather glad we did, even though it was late.
We could have pugged somebody. Oh, holy crap! All right, sorry, I don't mean to just diverge. But I'm standing in my garrison and I've got it set up for Christmas, right? And Glark Griswold is walking by with a Santa hat.
Nice.
Yeah, I've never seen that guy hanging out in my garrison before, but there he is.
See, I thought you were reacting to the word "pug" having come out of your mouth.
Right.
No,
It's been
see, I
it's
would've
been a
pugged
long
healers.
time. It's
I
been a
would've-
long time for that.
We could have pugged healers if we needed to. We were
Totally.
running
Well,
tonight no
and
matter
a
what.
lot of people could have
no.
switched. Like there were people that said they would switch.
There was. Yeah.
Yep, there. I mean, we would have handled it no problem. One way or the other.
That being
All
said, I think it's fortunate that we have built up this kind of connection and these networks that generally we have the crew we need to make it work, which is actually quite lovely.
It
Yeah.
really is.
All right. So, Charity, what's your prediction?
I predict that we will at least get to work on the next boss next week because I feel like people are going to be in that in-between time in between Christmas and New Year's, so we won't have as many problems with the family holiday issues, and we'll be more focused so that we can move on to the next boss. I don't know if we'll down it, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get some work on it.
See, that's where I'm at too, because I'm thinking Christmas, yeah, really good family holiday. Got to spend time with the relatives. But New Year's, nah, that's just party time, and that's not till Sunday night.
Exactly. That's after.
Right. So,
And I got to,
and I, granted, like JoBui said, provided we don't run into the Kingaroth
yeah,
misfortunes.
yeah. If we get the and you know, like I really think that we might even finish the whole raid if we don't have trouble with Kingaroth next week. I mean, it's possible that it would go that far.
If yeah,
The next two bosses, I know that Epistle and Durag have discussed the Agrimar fight, which is another tank test. Right there, there's a little bit of raid lead testing on that too, because we're gonna have to call for people to stack and spread. But as long as we get the timing right on that and the tanks do well, that fight's not gonna be that difficult. And then the one after that, like I said, there's a lot going on, but none of it's really super difficult in the Argus fight, and it's a little bit more forgiving than the rest of the fights. There's a resurrection mechanic that's built into that fight.
That fight's so fun.
oh, don't
Yeah.
tell anybody because I'm looking forward to trolling them.
I'm just saying, it's gonna be so fun.
It
Like
really
to
is.
see, I cannot wait to hear Tap go. Oh my God, I died. Yeah, it's okay. Go into the tree.
We all did.
Well, no.
Um,
Then you say, "Tap, did you step on that lever you were supposed to step on?"
Oh no.
That's my troll plan for Tap. That's what I will. I hope she's not listening to this podcast.
Oh, Tat, did you press your extra action button?
Yeah, exactly.
We should totally do that.
It's gonna be so good.
And she'd be like, "What extra action
What
button?
am I
No
supposed to?
wonder-
What? Yeah.
It comes right up in the middle, Tap. What's going on? Maybe you need to reload your UI."
It would be worth the wait.
Oh, we're horrible.
So
Yes.
Tap, if you're listening, I had nothing to do with this.
Oh goodness.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I think you're right. If we get Kilgaroth down on the first night, I think we'll just be flying through the rest.
Yeah, we do them on. If we do King Garoth on Friday, I think we're good to see the end of the raid on
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. So, yep,
There's our
I
target.
agree with that one because
that's our
Kingaroth
goal.
seems to be our problem
Achilles heel.
child. Yeah.
Raid goals.
He's our
our
maiden
maiden.
fight.
What's
Oh
that,
my
Lorelei?
gosh.
Said it's our maiden.
I
Yeah.
hope
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
It's not
I
that
don't
bad.
miss that fight at
It's not-
all.
It's not as bad as Maiden. Nothing is as bad
Although
as
I do
No.
miss a little hearing Joe. Just stop dying.
Maiden. You all suck.
The JoBui alarm going off.
Oh,
Yeah, we should do a year-end review next week and talk about all of our favorite memorable raid moments.
It is the new year.
I don't hear a lot of joy for JoBui.
Hey, so guys, did I mention last podcast that Ro was having his 250th episode?
Yes, you
So
did.
yeah,
I did mention it. Okay,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if I did, but congrats, Ro. You know, even though we mentioned it
Yay,
last week.
congrats.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I got to find out what's going on with the Goblin Goldcast because I haven't seen them in a while either.
Yeah, they didn't do one last week.
And it's probably just the holidays. I know he's up in Alaska, and
A lot
Max.
of people aren't doing
Yeah.
their podcasts.
Yep.
My Pokemon Go podcasts are like, don't expect to see us. We're gonna be gone.
where is their dedication? I don't get it. I mean, we even changed the day of our recording so we could put one out for all of our fans. Can listen to it on Christmas Day.
That's how much we love them.
Yeah, they can gather around the
Mhm.
fire and press play on iTunes and listen to us coming
Drink
to your
hot
home.
cocoa.
Yeah.
You don't have to
A little
listen to
bit of
the
schnapps.
in-laws. Just listen to us.
Eggnog.
It's all good.
Eggnog with schnapps. Ooh, there you go.
I looked up. I found a recipe for some like aged eggnog. That you make and you put in jars and you store it in your fridge. But you need to do it like a month in advance. I'm doing it next year.
Really?
Oh yeah. And apparently, the longer you let it sit, the smoother and the more delicious it gets.
100-year-old eggnog?
No, I'm not going that far. I'm
No,
like
okay.
like a month or so. Uh, but it's like a fridge canning process that I found. So next year, I've decided I'm going to do that.
And I thought my 16-year-old scotch was an indulgence.
It kind of is.
Oh, wait, yeah, it was. Merry Christmas to me.
One of the gals at work, she got a present of Duck Commander wine.
Oh, it's so good.
See, and that's what everybody tells me, and I never even heard of it before.
Well, I mean, anybody that knows Duck Dynasty knows what it is, but
Oh, I thought you were going to say anybody who's a wine connoisseur. Because I heard it's like Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill.
It's just so good. Like, it's my favorite kind when I get dessert wine.
Dessert wine. Okay.
Yeah, I get the pink Moscato from them.
That's what she had.
Yeah, it's my fave.
All right. Well, I'm not a wine connoisseur. Well, I am because I like Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill.
I mean, I'm not a connoisseur. Like, you'd probably be like, "This is the best wine." And I'm like, "Ugh."
No, I don't like wine.
But
Liquor's quicker.
Absolutely good. Yes. I do. I like some rum too, though. That's my drink: rum and wine.
Yeah. Captain Morgan's got a coconut rum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are we losing our PG podcast
no,
status
we
here
are.
somewhere?
You know, we can.
I mean,
it's the holidays.
I think earlier he lost it.
That's true.
On Shavara.
We crossed that point of no return.
Yeah, we're done now. I'm over it.
This is what happens when we record right after our raid versus waiting a day.
Yeah.
Being appropriate.
Our raid is also my drinking buddies, and so.
That's
yeah.
true.
JoBui's always coming up with some sort of beer, caramelized chocolate flavored beer.
No. Well, tonight it's actually it's Pacific Wonderland Lager is what I.
Wonderland.
That's what it's called, Pacific Wonderland Lager.
Drink too much and you're wandering somewhere.
It's pretty good. I like it.
Down the rabbit hole.
Yesterday it was White Russians. So.
Yeah, you were feeling pretty good with those White Russians.
Friday. I was kind of lit for Friday night. I did well.
There was giggling involved on his side.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. Well, gotta have some fun while I raid.
One of the drinks.
Less grumpy that way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
One of the drinks I fell in love with.
Am I typically grumpy? Is that like a known trait for me?
No, going back to that one night, which was very funny.
When the JoBui alarm went off.
Well,
I think you're expressing what we're all feeling at that point, which is why do we keep doing this?
He's our voice of reason.
Mm-hmm. This thing that's bugging us all. Just stop it.
You all stop dying.
Yes,
good.
We agree.
I wish I had recorded that night, because I would just replay you saying that.
Oh, it's recorded.
I need to get a soundbite of JoBui going crazy over us dying.
Oh, it's definitely on the internet.
Yeah, there is a permanent record, or at least a temporary record of that somewhere.
I'm gonna replay it every time we have wipes.
There you go. All right, guys, it's the holidays, and I know we're after raid, so it's really late. So we're gonna go ahead and start a little early, but I hear the music. It's time for Lorelei's Pet Battle Minute.
Hey everybody, there's a bunch of Wintervale pets out there for all you new pet lovers. Beginning Christmas Day, you can get Father's Winter Helper, the Tiny Snowman, the Winter Reindeer, and Winter's Little Helper from the gaily wrapped presents found under the trees in Ironforge and Orgrimmar. You'll be able to get the Clockwork Rocket Bot, the blue Clockwork Rocket Bot, Lumpy, and the Rotten Little Helper from doing the daily You're a Mean One quest. The Grumpling can be found searching the snow mounds in Frostfire Ridge and Draenor. And last but not least, there's a new pet, the Globe Yeti. He can be found wandering inside the big snow globes in Ironforge and Orgrimmar. There's only one at a time, and respawn times are about 30 minutes. Don't take in a level 25 team, as the Yeti is a level 1. I used all level 1 pets and was able to cage him the first time. Good time to get one would probably be early in the morning or very late at night, or even start a level 1 tune on a low pop server. Have a happy and safe holiday and see everyone next week.
And then there's
Getting Deeps with JoeBui.
It's the Feast of the Winter Veil time in the world of Warcraft again. Around this holiday season, I'm reminded about the spirit of giving. We raid as a group, we succeed and fail as a group, and in that light, it's important to remember that we as a group are stronger when we help each other. Different raid groups use different rules when it comes to loot. But since our raid group is cross-realm, we use personal loot. Not every piece of loot we get is going to be an upgrade for us. Or maybe that piece of loot is just loot we got as a duplicate of something we already had. So if you don't need that piece of loot you just got, pass it on. I'm sure someone else in your group could use it. What generally works best for us is we link up the loot we have for trade in raid chat and then go down the list, having interested players roll on the available gear. It only takes a minute or two of our time after each boss, but it sure helps us grow as a group. Just remember to look for that blue text that says you can trade that gear to others before you put it up for roll. Gifting loot to other players shouldn't be limited just to your raid group. When I'm out running a dungeon in LFR or take down a world boss and get a piece of gear that I have no use for, I always ask if anyone could use it. If more than one person speaks up, I'll have them roll for it. Doing that kind of thing might not make my particular raid group any better, but if everyone did that, someone else might pass on a piece of gear to one of my raiders, which does help. Being generous with your unneeded loot isn't going to improve your DPS directly, but it will likely help those around you and your group as a whole be better. Remember, loot isn't the only thing you can be generous with. A compliment on someone's performance, a flask for a friend, or even a bit of well-meaning advice can help too. So in the spirit of the season, give what you can to those who need it. It'll make the world of Warcraft a better place for us all. Oh, and keep getting those deeps.
and our tank in a winter dress.
What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking in a dress? What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking in a dress?
This week's Come At Me a Tanking Minute is going to be about surviving Veramathras. This is a really punishing tank fight, especially when you're new to it and when you've got new gear for it. Tonight was actually a really rough night for us as a raid, but it gave me an inside look, a couple goes around the fight to figure out what's the kind of, from the inside, what's the feel for this fight? What's the kind of rhythm that as a tank you need to know? Well, we probably said before, it's all about self-heals, mitigation, and taunt timing, meaning you have to be able to have your self-heals ready to go at the right time. You want them either hotkeyed or on a button, somewhere you can get that really fast, almost instantly. Well, same thing with the taunt. You need that fast, ready to go as well. And you have to time your taunt perfectly. And then mitigation, you need to make sure that when you're main tanking the boss, you've got to be ready to mitigate, that is cut down on all the kind of incoming damage that you can, especially at specific times. So from the inside of the fight, how does it feel? Well, I would actually say it's all about getting a sense of flow with the fight. If you're not the first person with the boss, it goes something like this. You sing your happy tanking song as you hit on the boss a little bit, then you taunt. When you taunt, nothing much is happening, but then you will get one big hit from the boss. Not sure if this is a special ability, but predictably you get maybe about 30% damage. That's the perfect time to handle that situation. But if you're not ready, the flow goes big hit, Then it'll hit you with Misery, which is another big hit, and you cannot self-heal. You cannot be healed. That's the place you don't want to be in. You've also got a dot on you, so your health is also going to be going down till you get to some low health. And it's not until that point that you then are healable or self-healable. If you handle it badly, you're going to spiral down, potentially die with the dot, or at the very least, you're going to have some pretty stressed out healers who are probably wasting mana because of the crisis that's been created. So here's what you really need to do from the inside of the fight to make it work. You sing your happy little tanking song, you get that first big hit, respond with a self-heal, and then immediately do whatever active mitigation you're going to use, some way to decrease incoming damage, because within another second or so, you're going to be hit with Misery, down goes your health, and the dot's taking you down. But if you self-heal, you're back to full health, the Misery takes you down a small percentage, but not into a danger range. You watch for that debuff to drop, immediately pop a self-heal, and then the other tank's going to taunt off you. It's going to take that whole situation of chaos and spiky damage that's going to freak out your healers and make everyone anxious, and kind of diminish that incoming damage, because you've got the right response to the right situation. So again, that the flow is you get hit with a big hit, self-heal, mitigate, then you'll get hit with the Misery, your dot will go down, and then as soon as the debuff drops off you, do a self-heal. Your healers will thank you for it, and it'll be a way less stressful, punishing Bearmathras fight. And that's Come At Me, a Tanking Minute.
And
Baby, you got the heals. Now heal and don't die, 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 die. Heal and don't die, 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 die.
This week's Splash into Heals, Logs and WoW Analyzer. Some of you may know that you can look at your raid logs to see what you're doing and how you can perform better at DPS and healing. We are lucky enough that we have someone that records them every night for us. It is really helpful. The problem is, it's really hard to look at those and really see how you could be doing better, like trying to read something in another language at times. I mean, I don't know about you, but I can't read Elvish. Well, maybe you can, but I can't. WoW Analyzer is a tool that breaks down and looks at what you're doing and tells you what you should be doing, buttons you missed, cooldowns you're not using, and more. It's like a shiny Elvish translator, so you can fix what you're doing wrong, and not just ask an elf where the bathroom is over and over. I will post links to raid logs and WoW Analyzer so you can copy-paste them to your logs and into WoW Analyzer and heal like a champ. This also helps you look at others when you see they are outperforming you. Now you don't have to ask them what they're doing. You just check the logs and see. So no awkward conversations for you shy peeps out there. Hi, can you please, yeah, that. Anyway, that's another Splash into Heals.
the whole time she's talking about elves, I'm thinking of Frodo sitting there waiting for Gandalf to figure out what the door opening signal was, and he goes, "What's the Elvish word for friends?"
Melon.
Exactly.
See, I speak Elvish.
Yeah.
See, you get it.
And there's it's WFN News, Warcraft Stafford News. The Mage Tower is up next at the Broken Shores with Fell Treasure and Knowledgeable. This week's weekly event is Time Walking Mists of Pandaria. Yay for the pandas.
Yay.
WoW tokens are 171. They went up. Well, what'd you expect? It's Christmas. And that's about it for the news, guys. So, Merry Christmas to all of you. And thanks for doing this. This was something that, I kind of, and I've said this before on previous podcasts, I thought, wow, we should do a podcast. And look at us now, It's Christmas again. We've got some great group raiders that give us something to talk about, for an hour a week. And we've got all these...
someone.
Yeah. Yeah. We got all our fans that listen to us. I mean, when we start looking at our numbers, it's incredible how many people are out there waiting every week patiently for us to say something. So thank you all for listening to us, and thanks, panel, for doing this for me.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Thanks
yeah.
so
for
much fun.
asking us.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate being part of the group.
I think it's a lot of fun, and I'm glad other people enjoy it too. That's for sure.
Yes.
Although I tell you, it is a little strange. Like I was just talking to my wife about that the other day. I was like, we get all these listeners that listen to our podcast, and wow, it's pretty amazing.
It is.
It really is.
And you know what's even more amazing is that we brought a couple of our fans into our guild, and they've spent money moving their tunes over. They're playing with us regularly now. They're part of our raid team, and
They're in the podcast.
they're in the podcast, right? I mentioned her because Charity, I got to tell you this. I got to tell this story again. So
Oh.
I was on YouTube. I have my YouTube channel, and I saw this gal, and she made this little YouTube about her pulling a big pot of stew behind her in Miss Pandaria, and she just thought that was so funny, and she recorded it and put it on YouTube. And I texted her. I said, that's amazing that you think that's so funny. And next thing you know, she's saying, "Hey, I listened to your podcast." It was great. And now she raids with us, and she's part of our podcast board, panel member. That's great.
Soon to be
Small
boss.
World of Warcraft.
Soon to be boss.
I don't know about that.
No, okay.
But she is rather spunky.
You never know what you're gonna get, right?
That's right. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for coming. I want to thank Charm for her beautiful music. Please go visit her website and her YouTube channel. The links are listed in the description below. BenSound at bensound.com, and Vincent Moretto for our Tavern Metal music. Thanks everybody for listening. And guys, again, Merry Christmas to you all. And we'll see you next week.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas, everybody.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays!
See you next year.
What?